Hi guys, I have not filmed in 1.5 years, but it's just me again. So hi guys, today I'm going to tell the story of the Titanic using Legos. I built the Lego layout. You definitely recognize that. You don't need to tell me what it is. And those are two boats that are going to be used. Titanic, this weird boat that almost gets crashed into, and whatever. Anyways, here goes the start. So, one day, there was a whole bunch of a construction on a very big boat was finished. The ship was called the Titanic. There was a port next to the Titanic where a whole bunch of people were waiting to get on board. Once everyone was on board and when the driver was sure that everyone was ready, he started to leave. But then he noticed some people noticed that it was starting to drive toward the boat. This little canoe right here saw that it would crash into the ship, so the boat thrust out a rope, and which brought the Titanic back so that it wouldn't crash into this guy, or else it would have gone powie. Anyways, the Titanic continued on its journey for 3 days happily. You know, the third day, someone said, "We see ice stuff ahead." Suddenly, they saw a dark image ahead of them. They said it was an iceberg, but the driver said, "Don't worry, we can get away from it." But he was wrong. It actually crashed into the iceberg. It started to break apart. Oh man, that's not part of it. And then it started to sink. Bloop, bloop, and bloop, and almost all of it was gone. Only some of the people survived. And just before this, I forgot. A lot of it was already underwater. Then the people on this last little teeny tiny bit right here saw a ship coming. It was called the California. Everyone cheered, and they set up SOS signals. But then their hopes were lost because the California just kept going on and on. Bye-bye. They kept dying and drowning. But then another ship came along called the Carpathia. They saved most of the people that were floating in water and not on rafts like these. And then the last part of the ship sank. Buoy. And the two halves lay 2,000 kilometers apart. Bobo! Carpathia took them home, where a lot of the kids were dressed badly and cold because they could only find spare clothes for them. And it was very sad time. One famous person was asked by everyone how the Titanic ship sank, and because he was one of the survivors, and that he told them that the Titanic, and then he told him, and someone that listened to him drew what he said on paper. He drew the steps of what he said on paper. First he drew it slanting, and then he drew it breaking apart, and then he drew the bottom half drifting to the bottom, then the top sticking up, and then the top drifting up to the bottom, so that they landed 2,000 kilometers apart. The end.